Hey Maria, how you doing? Thank you for including this writing. This really tells me a lot here and gives me a great place to start with your critique. So let's go through the writing first. I sat on the main line for a while. I knew the top and bottom of the capital B is flat. Yes, it is. But the curved tops of the lowercase a and n would exceed above the mean line and the bottom curve of A passing below the baseline. And you are exactly right. That's called overshoot. And that's an optical relationship. We'll learn about optical relationships next week. But basically, if we don't include that overshoot, and this is great. I mean, this is wonderful. You're really, really paying attention here. I'm just so pleased to read that you're considering overshoot. The reason being, if we don't use overshoot, a curved letter form will appear to be smaller than the straight letter form. So if you do this experiment, if you take two lines, right? So you take a baseline, your mean, and your baseline and your mean line, and you draw equilateral triangle in there, and then come over and do a circle at the exact same height as a triangle, the circle is going to appear smaller, and that's an optical illusion. But what we do is we counter that by that overshoot, by bringing that curved letter form above the mean line and below the baseline just a little bit, or in a capital letter situation, above the cap line. Good job. Okay, not sure what it is. Okay, again, that's overshoot. I have a feeling the mean line may have gone too far. Yes, the mean line is not placed correctly. I'll talk about that in a second. And notice that while shading the end, that the curve seems to start around the mean line. At least where I think the mean line falls. Okay, mean line is this. Okay, baseline. A baseline is just a baseline. It's just you don't need any letters to determine a baseline. It's just a line. It's got to be perfectly parallel. I mean, I'm sorry, it's got to be perfectly level though. That's really important. Then the mean line is basically, okay, so you know what the baseline is. The mean line is the line that connects the x height of the lowercase letters, okay? So you can't just draw a mean line. You have to have a lowercase letter in order to determine the x height. So the x height is the height of the lowercase letters, and the mean line is the line that connects the top of the lowercase letters. Okay, so you can see you would need a lowercase letter to determine x height and mean line. Okay, you can't just draw the mean line before you draw the letters. And the same thing with the cap line. You have to place the B on the baseline in order to determine the height of the cap line. So those are things that you want to address in your final iteration. Now, as far as craft goes, I think the letter forms are beautiful. I mean, they're just a really fantastic job getting these. I mean, they're almost perfect. One thing I want you to pay attention is look at this stroke width right here. See how much thinner it is right there? We really want to show that there. And also the N right there, that stroke in the end right there is much thinner than the other areas of the stroke. So you want to depict that as well. All right, that leaves us with spacing. And I think your spacing is what we would consider good normal letter spacing. Now, the idea behind spacing is that we establish a good consistent width space between the letter forms. So this general rule will ensure that we have this kind of equal volume between letters. So the most narrow space between two letter forms is between two curved letter forms. Okay, then the next widest space would be between a straight and a curved, or of course a curved and a straight. And then finally, the widest space between letters would be between the two straight letter forms. And the reason being is because these negative spaces here create more volume between the letters. So we want to accommodate that for that volume by closing that down and increasing that. So that volume there appears to be consistent with this volume here. That's the reasoning behind that general formula of two straight letter forms, a curved and a straight, and two curved letter forms. So let's still go ahead and do that. It's a fantastic start, Maria. Absolutely fantastic. Just a little bit of fine tuning for the final submission, which is due Sunday. And at this point, just please let me know if you have any questions at all. I'll be glad to make any necessary clarifications. All right, great start. Thanks, Maria.